Hello, welcome to the Ramen Otaku show. Okay, I know I said I was going to take a break from old Precure shows until Kawaii Kon was over, but I wanted to get this out of the way, which I'll explain later at the end. Anyways, today's episode is about Go Princess, so let's not waste any time and get right into it.
Super fighting robot, Mega Man. 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 Fighting to save the world.
Pretty princesses. Probably one of the most stereotypical girly thing you can possibly think of at the top of your head. And despite that, this series is kinda good. This series is also unique as it takes place in a boarding school rather than a normal school. My guess is that this was done to give the illusion that the girls are in a giant castle, which I'll certainly give them kudos for. But other than that, there really isn't a lot for me to talk about in terms of the characters. They're not bad, they're just meh. However, Cure Twinkle was the only exception for me. Okay, before we talk about her, let me just guess what Tyranno is gonna say about her. I haven't even watched his video, but from what I can tell based on the previous Cures that were either pop idols or models, this is probably what he's gonna say.
I hate Star Twinkle. I don't like her being an underage model.
I'm a fucking miserable weeb with no life! Yeah, that probably sounds about right. So yeah, Cure Twinkle pretty much was the only Cure who left a big impression on me, as she felt somewhat unique compared to most Cures, and pretty much became very enjoyable to watch. She's the type of Cure who's balanced in being hardworking, while also being cute and friendly. As for our midway Cure, well... how do I start this? Twilight is a slightly better version of Regina. I only say slightly better because while Twilight had a more mysterious impression and became more of a rival like Forte, at least Regina had more charm compared to Twilight, despite her convoluted origins. From then on, it only goes downhill from here when she becomes Cure Scarlet, who's even worse than Cure Ace. Everything from her overall appearance, personality, and even how she attacks by using a toy violin just doesn't make her that enjoyable to watch. I mean, she does have some cool moments and emotional ones, but just like Cure Ace, at the end of all of that, I still didn't care about her. Same thing with the entirety of Hope Kingdom, which looks like a Disney kingdom, and that does not bode well with the essence of Precure. In fact, you'll see a lot of Disney influence throughout most of the series. And I think that could be the reason why this series didn't vibe with me compared to the previous ones. As for Yui, I mean, she's fine, but isn't as good as Cure Peace in terms of relatability, even though she does have some importance throughout the story. Which, by the way, I should also mention that she gets captured 3 times. Very impressive for a supporting character. Can't say much about the villains either, which are worse in comparison to Doki Doki, with Shut being the worst offender, even though he does get some redemption in the end. And those robotic twins, Stop and Freeze, just look like tokusatsu characters under the influence of Disney. Same thing with Despair, who looks like Maleficent. All I can say is that Close is the most intimidating villain in Precure history. As for episodes, I found episode 15, 18, 46, and 47 to be the most enjoyable. Episode 15 being about the importance of maids and butlers, and believe me, they are extremely popular in Japanese culture. Episode 18 having an impactful message about the Princess of Flowers ending, and how it's up to the reader to determine how the story ended. Episode 46 being about building a snow castle. And finally, episode 47, in which we see Haruka's dream come true until she discovers the truth behind it. But other than that, the rest are either hit or miss for me. Now there is one part that I want to talk about in episode 38, because I'm sure Tyranno will probably talk about it in his video. So near the end, Kanata, who has amnesia at this point, sees Cure Flora fighting scary-ass clothes. He stops her and tells her that she cannot become a princess because he doesn't want to see her suffering anymore from her dream. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Oh my god. Granted, I'm sure he was in the moment and didn't think it through, but him telling Haruka to stop fighting the bad guy is not the correct answer. That's almost like someone telling Rockman to stop fighting for everlasting peace. The correct answer should have been to tell Close to stop this senseless fighting because it's too much. Because while the fight scenes are great and well animated, they can get either tiring or overwhelming. And there should be times where peace, harmony, and love play an important role, rather than just killing the villain and calling it a day. Small did that for the general villains, and at the end of all of that, we do see that the girls have achieved their dreams in the future. Except Haruka. So, does she become a princess?
No one knows. I know, sir.
The Osborn's butler? What the hell do you know?
I know that the blade that pierced Dr. Octavius' wife's body came from his glider.
What?
So, in conclusion, this is a good series. It's not the best, but definitely not a complete waste of time. It's just meh. The princess theme and the Disney inspiration really doesn't resonate with me, and the overall message is good, but doesn't quite reach the mark of satisfaction when compared to Doki Doki. In the end, I really don't see myself rewatching this series a lot. I would only recommend this if you're into princesses. And, I guess, Disney. Alright, we're done with that. Now let's go react to Tyranno.
Revolutionary Girl Utena is a 1997 anime series directed by Kunihiko Ikuhara and produced at anime production studio JC staff. Ikuhara and other creative leads on the series had previously worked on Sailor Moon at anime production studio Toei and left Toei in pursuit of creative ideas that wouldn't fly in that environment. More on that later. Ideas that would blossom into Utena.
I'm sorry, did I pick the wrong video? Well, apparently not, because Tyranno thought he needed to talk about this anime because he thinks it's related to Go Princess. And from what he explained about Revolutionary Girl Utena, about 10 to 20% of that information was relevant to the topic at hand. I'm getting the sense that at this point he's already getting tired of watching Precure and wants to watch something else, which I don't blame him, to be honest. Or he's just trying to keep his sanity intact. I think he would be even more insane if he mislabeled one of his videos regardless if it's a sick joke or not.
Go Princess Precure, the 12th season of Toei's long-running Precure franchise, was directly influenced by Revolutionary Girl Utena. It wears this influence on its sleeve. It's so obvious about it, and straight up just lifts enough elements from Utena, that I'm tempted to call this season Baby's first Utena.
Okay, look, I never watched Utena, but what you just explained right now doesn't feel related to Go Princess. I mean, there are a few similarities here and there, but not 100%. And I know you have some weird fetish for Yuri shit, but I think you're taking this way too far.
Let me be clear up front, my goal is to not compare the relative quality of these two series, which executed on what element better, any of that sort of thing. That would be pointless because the answer is obviously Utena.
Okay, Grandpa, you want me to get your rocking chair while I'm at it?
No, my goal in bringing up these comparisons is to show how Go Princess Precure uses deliberate callbacks to Utena to set up similar thematic explorations before ultimately coming to different conclusions.
Okay, so I've done some investigation, and from what I can find on Wikipedia and the Precure Wiki, there seems to be no connections to Utena whatsoever. I think the inspiration was just a massive coincidence. It's like how people thought Fire Emblem Three Houses was inspired by Persona 5, when in actuality it was just inspired by a story point in Genealogy of the Holy War.
Nevertheless, by setting up deliberate parallels, Go Princess practically invites comparison and discussion, so with that in mind, let's start at the start and first illustrate how, exactly, Go Princess Precure calls back to Revolutionary Girl Utena. Go Princess Precure opens on its main character, Haruka Haruno, as a child. She's alone and upset due to some bullies making fun of her dream of being a princess. Suddenly, a mysterious prince appears and comforts her, reassuring her that her dream is worth pursuing. He gifts her a mysterious key and leaves her inspired to follow her dream and become a princess. Years later, she enrolls at a fancy academy, and that very key leads her to become Cure Flora and do all the magic fighting that entails. In other words, Haruka Haruno has almost the exact same backstory as Utena Tenjo, and the first episodes of their respective series are very similar structurally. There's also a lot of visual callbacks. For example, the character design of this teacher who yells at Haruka is very, shall we say, reminiscent of this teacher who yells at Utena. Utena the series often had decorated borders and spinning roses in the corners of the screen as indicators of, well, many things. So too does Go Princess have spinning patterns adorn the corners whenever something noteworthy occurs, such as a character introduction. Between all that, it's safe to say that Go Princess Precure is deliberately calling back to, nay, invoking Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Okay, the points that you did just make are at least the 10 to 20% that I just mentioned. I'll give you credit on that, Tyranno.
When you get down to it, Go Princess's messages and themes skew hard away from Utena's. Go Princess Precure embraces and celebrates the tropes it employs, the very same tropes that Utena would critique. So why would Go Princess Precure deliberately invoke what's effectively its thematic opposite?
Because this anime was released in 2015, dipshit!
Now here's some news for you. The classic fairy tale princess sucks!
I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. Tyranno, you're an asshole.
Whether it be as a trope or as an ideal to live up to. Hell, not just princesses, women in general didn't have it that great in fairy tales. Quote, fairy tales embody the ways that societies attempted to silence and oppress women by making them passive. Much of the fairy tale literature reinforces the idea that women should be wives and mothers, submissive and self-sacrificing. Good women in stories are to be silent and passive without ambition, beautiful and eager to marry, end quote. This often manifests as a lack of autonomy for women and princesses. Look at Sleeping Beauty, cursed to eternal slumber and some prince she doesn't even know has to come wake her up. And Snow White, cursed to eternal slumber and some prince she doesn't even know has to come and wait a minute.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. Intel has told us there are at least 7.
Okay, I already see one. Give him. Okay.
They're the same picture.
So to bring this back, Go Princess Precure has Haruka chasing a dream based on outdated ideas that would see her stripped of her autonomy and freedom, left only with pretty dresses and vague platitudes. And that sucks.
Okay, you kinda have a point, but what about these Disney princesses? Cinderella, Ariel, The Little Mermaid, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, Jasmine from Aladdin, Pocahontas, Mulan, Tiana from The Princess and the Frog, Rapunzel, and Elsa and Anna from Frozen. What about those examples? Now granted, some of these examples were changed and altered from their original source, but I think you can understand that these Disney princesses are meant to be empowering. Not exactly the way as Uta, but still.
Episode 47 sees Haruka trapped in a dream world and living out the classical princess life. It comes with all the expected niceties. The big castle, the doting prince, all the aesthetic elements are there, and so are all the classic failings. All Haruka has to do here is smile, look pretty, and be happy. Otherwise, she doesn't have to do anything and is actively prevented from working for anything. She is robbed of her autonomy, while the prince and her servants do all the work for her. In other words, she's the perfect princess. And that sucks. And the show knows it, and she knows it. She rejects this fairy tale life, saying, in fact, Go Princess Precure pretty much reinvents what it means to be a princess. It does so through the motto repeated at the start of every opening: strength, beauty, kindness. The characters don't just automatically have these traits, they have to work hard to achieve them. And strength and a good work ethic are just about as far as you can get from the expectations of classical princesses.
Yeah, that's exactly what Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Princess and the Frog, Tangled, and Frozen illustrate! Not only that, but Fire Emblem also does that as well! Have you ever watched these Disney movies before?
And given how poorly this season did in terms of sales, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that was a bad call.
Well, according to what I found on the Precure Wiki, it seemed that Go Princess did a little bit better than Happiness Charged. Not a lot, just a little bit.
Kirara Amanogawa's dream is to become a world-renowned model, and she is unique among the main cast in that at the start of the show, her career is already well underway.
Okay, so I watched the entirety of the Kirara part, and Tyranno did not complain about her being a model. I am actually really surprised. I would have thought he'd whine and complain about it. So I guess I wasted my voice. Thanks a lot.
Last up is Toa Akagi, the surprise fourth member of the crew, and she's the princess of this season's Desolate Magic Kingdom, because apparently that's the thing we're doing every season now. And her dream is... hang on, the fuck was it again? To be a princess? But that was Haruka's, and she already... no, wait. It's to be a grand princess, right?
No. Her dream is to be a good princess for Hope Kingdom. That part I at least remembered.
Side note, this henchman, Shut, is fabulous, and I love him.
Really? 'Cause Shut just looks like a vampire version of Cobra Jaw.
Go Princess Precure is unique among Precure seasons in that it shows the main characters as adults long after the conclusion of the main story. They're all doing what they dreamed of. Minami's researching sea life, Kirara's off being famous in Paris, Toa still exists, and Haruka, well, what about Haruka? Minami and Kirara's dreams led them to careers, but all Haruka dreamed of was being a princess, and I don't know anyone writing a paycheck for that. Unlike the others, we don't know what Haruka does with her life, and that's okay because Go Princess Precure was never about that. It was about dreams, about having the freedom to pursue them, and that too is what we do with Haruka Haruno. Her future is uncertain. We don't know what she's going to do with her life, but that's okay because she has the freedom to chase after whatever she desires, and she spent the entire season fighting for that freedom, both for others and for herself. Where the villains would have locked someone's future away, she stepped in and protected that future, protected people's ability to chase their dreams. So too did she do that for herself. With the last battle, with her last speech to the villain, she secured the freedom to pursue one's dreams both for the world and especially for herself. We don't know what her future holds. They fought hard against oppressive systems and opened the door to the future wide open. They all earned the freedom to pursue their dreams, and whatever those may be, we know they'll chase after them.
So, overall, wasn't as harsh as I would have thought it to be. I still disagree with the Utara part, as I feel that most of the inspiration comes from Disney, but then again, the Precure Wiki hasn't confirmed that, nor any type of interviews that I have found. So, yeah. Alright, so that is it for this video. The next one is going to be Hug Precure, which was made to celebrate the 15th anniversary. Hopefully I can get that done before early May. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Bye-bye.